Hi, this is Karan from Los
And
Angeles.
this is Alex from Los Angeles, and we are Movies That Shaped Us for a special on the theater, on the street episode, because we are at where, Karan?
We are at the Vista Theater in Silver Lake
There it is.
watching Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another.
Yes, yeah. So this is the reason why we came. This is the opening weekend for this film, and we came to the Vista Theater specifically because it is one of the four theaters in the world that is showing this film on VistaVision, which is a specific film format that was really popular in the 50s. A lot of big Hitchcock movies and things like The Searchers were filmed in it. Essentially, a film uh, technology where it's very, very high quality. We won't get into the specifics of it, but it's really basically a high quality image. And PTA shot this movie on VistaVision, which is a big, rare thing that hasn't been done in a long time. And again, this is one of the four theaters that actually presented it. Also, VistaVision projection, which hasn't happened in decades. So that's why we had to come here, sold out show, opening weekend, and check it out at this special theater. And this is your first time at the theater too, right, Karan? You hadn't been here before.
Never been here. I wanted to come in for the Brutalist, but that didn't happen for all sorts of reasons. But this was kind of epic. I mean, the theater historic. You can really feel the grain and just the texture of the image and for a movie like this, which we'll share our thoughts on really quickly, this experience kind of transports you. It really pulls you in, and it's an old theater, and you feel literally the vibration.
Oh yeah.
So it was a very special experience, and I'm so glad we showed up here early in the morning. Well, not that early, but early.
Early, yeah, and we have some line footage that we'll splice in here too, so you can see what the line looked like. What the theater looks like inside. They had a nice exhibit and everything on the film. That I got some good footage of that. So, yeah, speaking of the film, this is just our first quick reaction. Something we don't usually do. We usually have some time to actually. Our rule is this is rarely do we see these movies together.
Yeah.
For the podcast, and when we do, we tell ourselves we cannot talk about it until we record. So we're changing the rules a little bit for this because why not? Man on the street time. So
Exactly.
yeah, what are your first thoughts? Like literally 10 minutes out of the movie,
Oh
what'd you
my
think of One
gosh.
Battle After Another, the new PTA movie?
I'm vibrating from the theater, but also vibrating from the movie because, I mean, what a movie. Like, I've been reading headlines about this is the movie of the decade and a movie of our times, and I didn't go deep into hearing any spoilers of why people were saying
Yeah, me
that.
neither. Right, I was trying to avoid
And
that.
I think the movie kind of delivers to that hype for sure, but also that log line that this is the movie of the decade. It's the movie. This is why we probably do this after a while because it's so hard to
Yeah,
wrap your head around a movie like this. But from head to toe, I would say the first thing I say to the movie is super intense.
definitely.
It's brilliantly crafted, which you would expect from a PTA movie anyway. But I don't think PTA had this in him to make a movie which is so action packed. I mean, it's relentless from the beginning, literally one battle after another. But what is surprising, I guess, to some, which is that how funny the movie is. I mean, there were laugh out loud moments
Oh
throughout
yeah.
the entire movie. I mean, PJ is known for amazing characters, and there have been many, many, memorable characters that are really funny in his movie. But I think in this subject matter, which in a world which is so tense and dark and so much crazy stuff is happening, for him to imbue humor, but like real characterization, I even shed a tear at the end of the movie
Me too.
because it just got to that place. I mean, this is why we love movies. I mean, this is a capital M movie that doesn't come around and talk about the crafts of it. I mean, this from head to toe,
Oh
from the
yeah.
chase sequences to the music to the score to how the whole thing is lit up, how it's shot. Like the whole thing is just kind of an epic masterpiece, but yet feels super grounded and real. And yet, even though it's topical in many ways and dealing with a lot of current issues, it sort of doesn't lay anything heavy handedly. It feels more of a character piece with all of this stuff in the background.
Right.
Ultimately, it's a father daughter story. Ultimately, it's about people finding who they are. And the movie has no judgment in my
Right.
mind, of like people on all sides. I mean,
Well,
there's some people who are actually devils
yeah, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
the movie, literally shot as devils as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it still kind of lets it all hang.
Yeah.
What did you think, Alex?
Yeah, so I also was totally blown away by this. Trying to keep my expectations tempered. I mean, I like PTA, but he's not like a my one of my favorite directors of all time. A lot of his movies I think are kind of like middling, especially the last decade of his career. But this just
Hard disagree, but yes.
yeah, we can talk about that one in the full episode. But this, yeah, this is like something I did not know had it in him. It was an intimate story, but also big themes about political change and revolutionaries reflecting back on things they have done. And also, I think what I love about this movie, though, is a lot of times when you're dealing with heavy subjects like this, it can get very dark, and this movie does,
Yeah.
and can feel like kind of nihilistic or like, what's the point? Kind of making fun of everyone involved and saying there's nothing we can do. But the end of this movie is just, I think, so optimistic that I shed a tear at the positive way that this movie ended. And that to me is what makes this so special. It's about our times, but not saying it's over, it's terrible, like the world is ending. I'm saying, yeah, the world is terrible. It is one of the worst, times in at least in my life. But there is a way out if you make the change and push for it. I think all the different characters representing different parts of that revolution, especially Benicio del Toro's character, I thought was really touching in terms of how he decided to take his revolutionary action into his community and just focus on the people around him as opposed to the other things that the folks are doing in the beginning of the movie. But yeah, I was completely blown away by it. I want to see it again, and the VistaVision thing too, like really stood out. Like you said, I think super crisp. If anyone, I know there's only 4 theaters in the world that are playing in Vista, but definitely try to see it in IMAX. I think the effect will be kind of the same. So, why don't we also then jump into the star of the film, or one of the many stars, Mr. DiCaprio? What are your thoughts on Leo in the film? What do you think? How did he do?
Oh my gosh. So I should say that we will have a full Leo episode coming up soon. But as I was, reflecting on Leo, because we've been watching a lot of Leo movies in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
He's played complicated characters. He's played leading man characters, and often he's been playing characters who are, morally sort of corrupt, or there's something really dark or broken about them, and he does that really well. But you still see a glimpse of Leo in them, which is sort of the star, somebody who, the camera loves and eats the attention in a good way. This is probably one of the first movies and performances that I've seen where he's kind of lost. He's very unsure, and he's often the butt of the joke, but you're laughing with him, but maybe even at him a little bit through, although you're sympathizing with him, because I don't think we've seen him play this kind of like endearing, kind of bubbling person before, to the point that I almost forgot that it was Leo, which is very hard to do, and that's the thing with movie stars. Even when they're great actors like he is, you still see a little bit of them in the performance. I think I just totally forgot it was Leo entirely. It's also fun to see Leo in this sort of like dad stoner mode. People, I've been reading about this performance being compared to Big Lebowski's Dude, and there are definitely shades of that in this performance. But it's fun to see him in this kind of dad mode, being protective and irrational and sweet, but also doesn't know how he fits in. And so I think this was a really memorable performance. The movie, I think, is much bigger than him. I would say, like, there's so much going on, and every person in the movie really holds their own. But Leo is Leo, and it's a daring performance, dare I say it. For someone of his notoriety and caliber, and one of the few living movie stars, to go and do a movie like this, where he's not the hero in any way, actually.
I disagree on that, but
In some ways, I guess he is, but he's not the one who's driving the narrative forward.
oh, right,
That's
right,
what I
right,
mean.
right. He doesn't propel the story,
No.
right?
So, but yeah, he's great. I thought, yeah.
Yeah, I also thought he was fantastic, and kind of taking a lot of this has been type characterization that he also did a lot in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I also think
Mhm.
does an incredible job in that. But how he sort of finds his cause of just protecting his daughter becomes, before he was this big revolutionary doing all these big things to, start the revolution and save, the society. And now he is just driven to save his daughter, which I
Mhm.
think she represents, the future and the next
Right.
generation, because as they say in the end of the movie, that generation failed. They tried to change the world. They didn't. The world stayed the same, still bad.
Mm.
But if you can inspire the next generation to try again, because you have to, like the title says, one battle after another. And I think that I saw the wary worldness of DiCaprio sort of giving up in the beginning of the movie to just be try to like save his daughter, and you think maybe he doesn't have it in him anymore to do what he needs to do. But even though he kind of can't remember the code words and is like
Right.
fumbling all around, but he's still at the end of the day is able to get to his daughter,
True,
and
he makes it.
reunite reunite with her, and then give her that letter at the end to like inspire her to be the next generation to try again in the second battle, because you have to
Yeah.
keep fighting until it's a long road to get to that to get to the promised land. But I think he does a great job of like using a lot of those characteristics from like the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood performance, but giving it a little more heart because he has
Yeah,
a family member he's fighting
there's
for.
sweetness in this person,
Definitely.
even when you see him in the beginning when he's younger and part of the revolutionaries, like I guess he's sort of good at what he's doing, but he's not fully sure of him, like the
Right.
other people around him. But what he is sure of is that we have a family now. That whole scene in the beginning when, like, spoilers galore, by the way, in this
Oh yes,
recording.
right.
I
Well, I'll
should
put a
just
note
say
in
we'll
the
put a note.
title. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But like as his, the mother of the daughter, she's leaving. All he's saying is that we have a family now. This is what matters, and you could argue like the biggest revolution is actually about love. It's a harder choice to make to stand for love, and that's what he does. Is he the best father? Probably not. But he's standing for the right thing to protect his daughter, like you said.
Right. Exactly.
And then his physicality in the movie. We again with movie stars, you forget like what a great comedic actor he is, what a great like physical comedic actor he is. Like there's so much he's using with the way he looks, his hair, and how he's dressed up. In fact, we saw two guys standing in his outfit in the robe outside the theater, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Living in LA, right?
Exactly.
But I mean it's a movie star performance with a real actor at the center of it, which you don't get very often.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely one of his best performances, right up there. And
Definitely.
I won't give spoilers to what we think is our best because that's in our
Yes.
episode that is coming up on. We'll cover more in depth of this film and then talk more about Leonardo DiCaprio, his career, and then our top three. So we'll get to that in the next episode that's coming soon. But I think this is right up there. That's a little bit of a tease for that.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, this was incredible. I'm so glad we made the trip to watch this movie. And yeah, like Alex said, if you can go and check out this movie in a Vista Theater, please do. But just go watch it. I feel like movies like these that are original, epic, with movie stars, great performances done by incredible directors, they don't come by. With this kind of budget and muscle from a studio, they don't come by very often. So, at the risk of sounding kind of preachy, I want to say, like, go watch this movie in the theater.
Yeah, there's many formats it's in, but just support your local Cineplex, even if it's actually in 40x, so you can watch it in 40x and move around when Leo's doing those chase scenes. But yeah, yeah, it's one of the formats, but yeah, definitely check it out, and hopefully you enjoyed this little man on the street post reaction and then little tour of the Vista back here, and we'll think of maybe doing some more if you guys like these kind of videos. But yeah, see you in our full review that's coming up soon. And with that, I'll say goodbye, I guess.
Goodbye. Viva la revolution.
That's right. Viva la revolution.